A man sits in his home and looks at his wife, believing that his wife is the cause of him not having a male child. Hello and welcome to Out 360 Solutions. Today we are going to be discussing on a topic that we know touches a lot of people. This topic we know over the years have actually touched a lot of families. We know so many people discuss this privately in their home, and because of a lot of things that go on family-wise, a lot of people just do not want to talk about things like this. It bothers them so much that they just decide to keep this thing private. But Out 360 Solutions today is poised on showcasing this topic so that will bring clarity to a lot of you. Over the years, I've learned so many things. Things that are very private to families hardly come out. These are things that bother them in their homes. They hardly want to share. Even if they know that persons out there can actually proffer solutions on such topics or matters, they would prefer to keep it quiet. So today we are going to be discussing on a topic that we know a lot of Nigerians are out there waiting to see, to hear, and to understand why this happens in our society. Today's topic is this: who decides the gender of a baby? I know a lot of people who want clarity on this, and that's why we're making this video. Who controls the gender of a baby? This is a question that will reverb in our heads for a very long time. It does in so many families that we don't get to hear. But this is what we have to offer from Out 360 Solutions. I think when people begin to enter that phase in their lives, they begin to start asking questions about children. And it depends on the society you find yourself. Such questions come with answers that may not be ideal to a mind that is that young. But when you grow up with such a mentality from being in an environment that impacts such knowledge to you negatively, you tend to grow up with such ideologies. You now begin to trickle such in ways that will now come back to affect you in your home. Who controls the gender of a child? I am doing this specifically to clear the myths, the notion, the beliefs that most men have in their homes. Most men, you need to listen to this. Most men in their homes believe that their wives are the major cause of them not having male children. A man sits in his home and looks at his wife, believing that his wife is the cause of him not having a male child. What a shame. What a shame. And if you dig properly, you will notice that these men have BScs, these men have MScs, these men have PhDs, and the list goes on. The list goes on. How can a man in this 21st century, that there's so much clarity on this, how can you sit down and begin to accuse a woman that has nothing, to do with this? How can you do that? Now, this is a cultural infusion. This is a cultural nonsense that has been crafted into the minds of most men, believing that it is not their fault. Definitely, it's a woman's fault. Definitely, it's my wife's fault. Now, let me explain this. Before now, we have always known that there's something called an X and a Y chromosome. These are called sex genes. These are called X and Y sex alleles. And these are the major determining factor for a child to come out a male or a child to come out a female. This has always been there. And science, like they say, does not lie as such. Because in our situation right now, we get to see a lot of things happening that we just may not believe that science completely explains some things. Maybe not. But let me tell you this. Over the years, we have actually come to the realization that this is practical. And this has been studied. And this works. It's feasible. This is how we see it. If a man, who we all know carries an X and Y alleles, that's sex gene alleles, but a mother, a female, a woman carries an XX sex alleles, she does not have the option of having any other than the XX. That's what the woman carries. That's what is genetically planted into the chromosome alleles sex gene mode or make of a woman. It doesn't change. But for that of a man is XY. So you have an option of an X and you have another option of a Y. I know a lot of people who know this will just be sitting there and laughing and be like, we already know this. Tell us something else that we don't know. But a lot of people out there don't know this. And that's why we get to see men go home screaming at their wives, fighting their wives, beating their wives. Why? Because they don't have male children. Let me repeat again. What a shame. And that's why it is so typical of men who do not just want to listen, who do not want to study, but are just bent to be very cultural in all they do. I get scared of people who are too cultural. You're just too cultural, I just get scared of you. Because if you're a culturally minded person, hardly allows information to come in. He hardly wants to listen to anything innovative. So a man has X and Y allies to give. But a woman is only blessed with X and another X sex allies. That's her best. Even if the sky falls, that's the best a woman can give you. But you, the man, you have that sex gene that can give you that very thing that causes you pain, which is the YX gene in the make of your X and Y. Let's move further to explain this. Now, a man's sex genes are driven by his genetic make. So it is only his genetic make that can actually propel some of these things to happen. Remember, this man did not just fall from the sky. He is from a certain lineage. He is from a certain generation tree, as it were. He is coming from somewhere. He actually has some characteristics of where he's coming from. So he's going to carry a little or more of such characteristics. He tends to behave within the lines of where he's coming from. And that's why we get to see an exhibition of so much traits in different levels of genetic make all over the world. And the thing is this: a man does not even decide to give what he gives. It is his genetic make that decides to propel out what he gives. A man does not have that ability. Even when we know a man has the option of two sex allies, the X and the Y chromosome sex gene allies, we know he has that ability. But guess what? He does not have the ability to push this out into the woman for fertilization. But there's something that is going on. If a man gives an X, the woman has X waiting. If the genetic make of the man now decides to release the Y sex gene, the Y sex allies, the woman only has X waiting. So the man gives X, the X meets with the woman's X to form a beautiful girl. If the man decides to give the Y sex gene, the X of the woman is waiting to form a handsome male child. It may exceed that in some explanations, but that's what we know, and that's what everybody believes, and that's what happened. But there is another argument to this, which is why I am making this video. The other argument to this is this: you can be a man and you have a Y and X sex genes properly balanced. You could be a man, you have all this properly balanced and in shape, and the woman is there with no any other option than the X and X that she has. There could also still be a mix. A man has a Y sex gene and he also has an X sex gene. Now look at what happens. In these two sex genes, a man can manifest in three ways. He has an X, he has a Y, but he can manifest in bringing forth an offspring in three manifested ways. These are the ways. One, a man can be coming from a generational make that has a gene implant of what we call MM, not XY again, MM. And it means the MM from a man is a dominant genetic make, meaning if the man has XY, if the Y begins to manifest, it manifests in a very dominant fashion. So men who have MM majorly manifest with the Y sex gene. So if you see a man who has 4 male children in his house and does not have one female, that man has a genealogical frame of a dominant Y sex gene. This shouldn't confuse you, because if it confuses you, you'll go home and start causing trouble with your family. I hope you listen properly so that you get what we're saying. A man who already has an X and a Y sex gene can have a mutational change which can give him a 3-dimensional manifestation. And the first one, the first manifestation, is a man who has an MM, which is a dominant Y delivery. Such men have the propensity of giving Y sex genes all the time. They are from a generational line where men are more in their family than women. This is seen in families where there are more men than females. If you see a family that have more men than female, there's a genetic possibility that those children, the offspring from that family, will have mostly male children. The second manifestation in the combination we're talking about, the second manifestation from a man who has X and Y, the second manifestation is this, is what we call MF. Remember, the first one is MM, the second one is MF. The MF is a genetic make that explains a balance. You have an appropriate balance of male to female children. The third manifestation, where you have an FF scenario. The third manifestation from a man whom we already know has an XY sex gene chromosome make can manifest in the third form as FF, and the FF completely means recessive. MM means dominant, MF means balance, FF means completely recessive. In this combination, in this manifestation, you see a man having complete recessive genes of female children. Now, this is not the cause of a woman. A woman has nothing to do with this. All these are coming from the man. If you're a man in your home and you have 4 females, you don't have 1 male child, it's your fault. It may not be intentionally your fault, but the fault is coming from your system, from your make. So at that point, you don't go accusing your wife for not giving you a male child. It is not her fault. Whatever you give to a woman will respond to you in kind. What does it mean? A woman cannot go beyond what she can actually do. So I want everybody to understand that a man is a deciding factor to having a male child, and a man also is a deciding factor to having a female child. No woman on planet Earth has any decision to make in terms of having a male or a female child.
If you're new here and you find this video helpful, I would want to urge you to subscribe to my channel, and if there's any question you want to ask us and what you've seen in this video, please go down the comment section and express yourself. My name is Fred Iqbal from Out 360 Solutions. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Peace out.